Well, Zoe Williams is back in the building. Let me just give you guys a brief breakdown again of what this platform is about. And I got a special guest on here today. Man, y'all got to start respecting the elders. Y'all got to start respecting, you know that old African proverb, when an old man dies, a library burns down. I have a bona fide library in the house. And he's still alive and kicking and living well. And we're going to wish him many, 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 many more years of wonderful life. Before I introduce the good brother, the elder, y'all got to hit the like button, y'all got to hit the share button, and y'all got to show love to this brother here today. You understand? Dig? Y'all got to show love to this brother we have on today. As is commonplace, I have to promote Black-owned businesses. There's one right there behind me. The University of You Relationship Masterclass. If you haven't taken it, please understand that the masterclass is still available. You can get it right now. 4 modules, right? 4 modules, 5.5 hours long. All you have to do is go to ZoWhatMasterclass.com. Get in there right now and support that Black-owned business, which so happens to be me. Anyway, we've got more stuff to promote. The HuriKane Report. Hey, I'm going to respect their anonymity. They in the house right now. I ain't going to say nothing because they love their privacy. But this is our news network, the HuriKane Report. Write it, take action, maintain freedom. Go to H-report.news. Many of the news stories that we cover here, we get from there, the HuriKane Report. Don't play yourself. Go there, get their merch. Click that merch S spot because it's under construction. I've just been informed, but it's about to relaunch. Follow on all social media. Put up that other thing so I can show the social media. Instagram, H_report. That's REEEPOORT. Please support them. H_report. Support. And follow them on Twitter at the H-report2. Also, Total Package Energy. I was a little lethargic when I walked in here today. I promise you, I was tired. But Mike, the owner of vibrationfrequency.com, had some Total Package Energy. He gave me a couple of the new nanotechnology packets. Total Package Energy, vitamin C, B12. These are their new nanotechnology products. Put it under your tongue. Might not taste 18 times more potent than the regular Total Package Energy. Might not taste the best, but I'm telling you, the results are amazing. And I suggest you get the vitamin C in light of the COVID. The COVID surge. They say it's going to get even worse, right? Vitamin C, nanotechnology, 1,000 milligrams per little packet. Do it now. What else do we have to promote? Put up something. We got a lot of stuff now. Terry Lomax, if you're looking to do your thing. Terry Lomax just showed her baby bump this week on Instagram. Her Halloween costume, she redid Nicki Minaj. But Terry Lomax is a cold piece of work on the business side of the game. If you're looking to start a podcast, she's the person to go to. Mondays, I think it's at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, a free masterclass on how to grow your podcast. And Wednesdays at 11 a.m., get with her now. Also, there's a book I want to promote. Where's the book? You got it. I sent you everything. Thriving While Black. The Act of Surviving and Thriving in the Same Space by author Corey J. Williams, MSW, LCSW. Please get this book. I talked to the brother. I may even add him, because he's talking about some stuff that I'm talking about. I may even add him into my documentary. Very, very powerful work right here. Go right now and order his book. Look it up, find it. He's a self-published author, so I suggest you find his website and buy the book from him directly. That's the publishing house, the Little Bird, CKC Publishing House, LLC. Go there, support the brother right now. Tell him Zoe Williams sent you. What else do we have? Exwolf. Let me tell you right now, I'm on this Exwolf tough. I'm on it tough. All I got to say is it's got ginseng, Tankat Ali. It's got a lot of stuff in it. And eyes on it. So why would you buy Nugenics from a white company, GNC, and not buy Exwolf from a brother? Let's get this brother popping. Exwolf. You underdig? You get it at X Labs Sups. XLABS Who else we got? Thomas Hopes. Thomas Hopes. If you're looking to buy, sell, rent in the Texas area, this is the person to connect with. Get to his website. If you're looking to buy, there is a promo code, ZoBuys. If you're looking to sell, there's a promo code, ZoSells. If you're looking to rent, ZoRents, right? Put all of these things, if they fit your specific criteria, put it in there, and you get some benefits from hearing about this brother on this platform right here. Thomas Hope's Investment Solutions. Please, please, please support. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I need you to hit the like buttons. I need you to hit the share buttons, because me and the good brother are about to have a wonderful conversation. Who else do we have on deck? Somebody said they on that Exwolf right now. I bet you are. Let me tell you right there, that's my follow-up book, The Holographic Relationship. It's available right now on my website, IamZoWilliams.com. Please, please, please cash mob me and support this book, this endeavor. If you've already read it, don't be afraid to email me your review. I'm looking for powerful reviews, positive reviews. Please email me at, what's my email? VOR106@gmail.com. Email me your reviews of The Relationship Dismount, the book that preceded this one, as well as The Holographic Relationship. I'm interested to know what you think. And then, made man sacre. High-end socks for the high-end brother. Don't be dusty. Get the best socks for your feet, man. Women love nice socks on men. Am I lying, ladies? If you got nappy, crusty, holy socks, it's normally women who recognize. See, you men ain't really paying attention to your socks, your ankles, or nothing like that. Women see all the nooks and crannies. So if you want to impress her, please go to Made Man Sockery. Follow them on Instagram. It's a black-owned business. All of these businesses are black-owned, by the way. And it's run by a sister out of Texas. Y'all go support, 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 support. Is that it for the, oh, wait, straw and wool. Hey, this is what I'm upset about. Straw and wool sent me some very nice hats, but I gave all of them away, and I gave the 2 that I wanted to Jeff Brown. He's a very nice hat company based in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm just going to say this right now. Either Jeff give me those 2 hats back. Well, yeah, Jeff's head sweat is now in the hat, so I don't want those hats. I'm going to have to reach out to my brothers at strawandwool.com and get some more hats. They have some very nice hats, and some new designs have come out. Please go to their website. Tell them Zoe Williams sent you, strawandwool.com. Is that it? All right, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. This is a brother I've been trying to connect with. Oh, man. I've been trying to connect with this brother for a long time. Say what? He left the chair. Okay, he might have to use the bathroom. I don't. Let me just say, this brother is 89 years young. This is somebody I've been trying to connect with for a long, long time. And again, I keep telling y'all what this platform is about. It's about educating. And, you know, a lot of people be upset with me because I chastise. You know, I'll tell you the truth. I don't sugarcoat. They be mad at me. But one thing I don't do is think I'm better than my people. We all in the same boat. So my job is to use my platform to introduce you to the people I respect, introduce you to the people I consider a mentor. And this is definitely one of them. This brother right here, Dr. Walter, let me say it again, the esteemed, the honorable Dr. Walter Williams is in the building right now. Everybody put a fist in the chat room and say hello to Dr. Williams. I guess you can't hear the fist. Dr. Williams, thank you for coming, good brother.
Thank you for inviting me, Brother Zolo. Glad to be here.
Hey, you know what? We ain't got a lot of time, so let's cut right to it.
Okay.
How did Western history or European history, how did their telling or creating of history ruin the world?
Well, they have put into the world of humanity mythology by way of their institutions, their colleges and universities and et cetera, et cetera. You see, the Europeans, you got to remember, don't have a known beginning history. They'll tell you that right off the bat. And so what they had to do was to create mythology in its place. So when they got their institutions together during the 15th and 16th century, during the Renaissance era, they loaded their institutions up with mythology, and you see that mythology still playing out today all throughout the world. So that's what they have to give the world its mythology. Something that did not happen in human history. Human history consists of 4, 5 items or entities. People, places, time, and events, and literature. So you need literature to document the people, places, time, and events. So we're talking about real human history that is documented by time, people, places, and events. But Europeans have loaded this world up via their institutions, via their scholars, with mythology. And religion is one of the biggest form of mythology that they have produced.
Uh-oh, here we go. Here we go. You know, this is a sensitive topic for a lot of people who are Bible thumpers, Quran thumpers, Talmud thumpers, Torah thumpers. Let me ask the question, what is the role of the Bible and other holy books in the manipulation of history?
Well, see, the Bible is a companion literature for Christianity. Christianity is the world's first man-made religion that was created by man on earth. And I give a history of Christianity. I have a 2.5-hour lecture that I give the historical history of Christianity. And that is the world's first man-made religion. Now, I want your listening audience to know this. And once you can understand what I'm about to say, then you got the whole gist of man-made created religion. Now, one has to realize that no human on earth was born with a religion. No human. You have 8 billion humans walking this earth as human beings of all races, creeds, and color. 8 billion. Each human of the 8 billion were not created with a religion. You were created by your father and your mother. Your father had and your mother had an intercourse, a sexual intercourse, and your father released his sperm that your mother's egg received, thus causing 9 months of incubation in her body to produce human beings. That includes me, you, and everybody that's walking this earth as a human being. Now, after the 9 months of incubation in your mother's body, you came out attached to her umbilical cord. That umbilical cord was cut by the doctor to release you from your mother by way of the umbilical cord. That umbilical cord serves 3 things for your development of humanity. It gave you, during that 9 months, water, air, and food. So at the end of the 9 months, that umbilical cord was cut by the doctor to release you from the attachment of your mother. Now, what you had after that, you had spirituality, or you had life soaring through your body. That same life that you have at this very moment that I'm talking to you. So your first gift from your mother and father was life, human life, that caused you to do the things that you were doing and develop in this world as a human being. Now, remember this one thing. You were given life by your mother and father, but you were never given a religion. Man created religion for you to control your thinking and your actions. So you were given everything that you spiritually and physically need or needed at the time of your birth. So right now, as I speak to you, Brother Zo have spirit still moving and alive in his humanity and his being. You also had everything given to you at the time of your birth that you physically need, such as your eyes, ears, your nose, mouth, toes, feet, arms, legs, fingers, etc., etc. So those are two things that were given to you as a gift from your mother and father by way of a sexual intercourse, thus being your creators. So if you really understand what I just said, that no human on earth was born with a religion, none. Man created religion to control man by way of his thinking and his actions. So that is what religion is all about, and that is what your humanity is all about. So if you really understand the two entities, then you will never ever go back or embrace a religion. Because as long as we, as an African people, embrace Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Black Hebrew Israelitism, or any type of man-made religion, we will never, ever be free as a human being or as a race of people. We'll never, ever. So I tell people to divest themselves from all religions because you don't need that in your life, and especially Christianity, because the image, the icon, and the symbol of white supremacy institutionalized in every Christian church throughout the world and throughout America. That symbol of white supremacy is that dead white man on that cross they call Jesus the Christ. He is a symbol of white supremacy. So as long as we going into these churches, bowing down and worshiping that image on the cross and calling that image our God, and I ask our African people in our African community, what is the name of your African God that looks like you? And I never had an answer coming back from anyone that I asked that question. So again, as long as we're going to these churches, we're giving away our spiritual power. We become a spiritually weak people, a powerless people, because we give away all our spiritual power and authority as a human being by worshiping this dead white man on the cross. They call Jesus the Christ. So we need to stop that. And I ask people this question: do you think that the white race will take their children and their family into a church where a big black African Jesus is hanging on the wall and teach their children that this black African Jesus is their God and Savior? The answer is hell no. They will never do that. Then why are we doing it as a people? So these things you really have to begin to put thought to. The purpose of your program and the purpose of me being on this program is to provoke thought in the minds of our African people all over America and throughout the world.
So let me ask this question. Let me ask this question, because if I'm to process what you just said, are you saying religion and history are essential tools for the implementation of worldwide white supremacy?
Correct.
Now, if that is or if those are the tools for the implementation of worldwide white supremacy, then our story, our history must be their devil in their books. Who we are must be the devil to them. Could you expand?
You're correct. That's correct. Because what they have done is that they have took us away from our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians. You have 50 or more million of Africans living in this country. And that 50 or more million Africans, they call themselves African Americans. Some call themselves blacks. And black and Negro is synonymous. They call themselves Negroes. So when you look up black land and try to find a land area where black people come from, you can't find it. Because every name that you call yourself, there's a history attached to it. There's a land area that's attached to that name, or it should be a land area that's attached to that name. So when I look for black, you say that you're a black man, a black person, a black woman, then I'm going to the world map and I'm going to look up black land. I can't find it. Now, I'm going to say this, that black and Negro is synonymous. Okay, so some say I'm a Negro. Okay, then I go to the world map of human geography. I can't find Negro land. Then some say I'm an African American. Okay, I go to the world map and I pick out and try to find African American land. I can't find that either. So who are we as a people? What land are we attached to historically and by our ancestors? Who are our ancestors? Our ancestors are the greatest people that's ever walked this earth, known in history as the ancient Egyptians. And this is what the school system has taught us away from. They don't want us connected mentally or spiritually or racially with our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians. So therefore, they can rule us and control us by way of white supremacy. So therefore, once you learn who you are and learn who your ancestors are, then white supremacy is over with. It's over with. You see? So they can't tell you any more lies anymore about who you are, because you know who you are. So therefore, a person can't come up to me and tell me who I am. No, I know who I am. You cannot, I will not allow you to colonize my mind like that anymore. Okay? So I make a suggestion to the 50 million or more Africans in this country who are today, as I speak, are without a land identity by way of the names that you call yourselves. So, if you understand that your ancestors are the ancient Egyptians who brought civilization to this world, brought literacy to this world, they brought and created the world's first alphabet to make humans of all races literate. Because that's the first thing you learn when you go to school, is to learn your ABCs. And your ABCs, with that knowledge, you're able to read, write, and spell. So therefore, it makes you a literate person. Now, the second most thing that I want you to understand about your ancient Egyptian ancestors, they created all forms of mathematics. So therefore, in order to build anything, you have to have the knowledge of mathematics. And they created all forms of mathematics. That's the reason why they were able to build the greatest edifice that's ever been built by man. And that great edifice is known today as the Great Pyramid, which stands right there in the middle of North Africa, in Egypt, built by our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians. That edifice called the Great Pyramid. Starts from the ground and goes all the way up to 490 feet tall. On each side of the pyramid, it spans 756 feet wide on each side. That's awesome, okay? And our ancestors built that. And another thing I want to tell you about that, since I'm talking about the Great Pyramid, is that every day people living in America are carrying in their pocketbooks, their wallets, and their purses the dollar bill. And on the back of that dollar bill is the edifice that our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, built, and that's the Great Pyramid. Look on your dollar bill, get it out of your pocket. There it is.
Right there in your pocket.
On that dollar bill is a symbol of the government of America, which is that eagle. And that's the symbol that signifies American authority and American government. So I want to bring that to your attention. Also, they built the knowledge of mathematics, the Sphinx. The body of the Sphinx is 1 city block long, 6 stories high, with an African face carved in it. So they are, not were, awesome people. And we are the descendants of those great and grand and glorious people. And the European taught us away from that when he took us into his school system.
Okay,
he did that on purpose to practice genocide against our minds, to take us away from our African ancient Egyptian ancestors, to teach us away from that. So today, we call ourselves African Americans. And today, as I speak, in Washington, D.C., they have a museum there, which is misleading. And they're telling you that our history started with slavery. And you help them do that when you say that, oh, I'm an African American. And you don't know any better, I understand that. But now, here they have created a museum for that. It's called the African American Museum of History and Culture. And when you go to that museum in Washington, D.C., the first exhibit that you see and hear is about slavery, how they put us into slavery. So those are some of the things I want to bring to our listening audience on this show to provoke thought in their minds, Brother Zolo.
All right. So let me just say this really quickly. We got a lot of questions, brother. So just make your answers a little bit shorter so we can try to get through as much information as we possibly can. Like I said to the audience, this is a living library. Trust me, you're not going to get all his information on this one show, but we're going to try to do our best to get as many questions answered. Now, there are people in the chat room saying, we're not Egyptians, we're Israelites. Or you got some people saying that, you know, they did 23andMe and got their Ancestry.com DNA and said that they're Nigerian. How do you respond to that when you say we are the descendants of the ancient Egyptians? People want to know, doctor. Please explain.
Okay, well, first place, do not individualize yourself by going to Ancestry.com. That's something individual that is related to your life. I'm talking about collectively as a people. You got 50 million or more humans walking this earth in America today, Africans, who have no home base or no land base to identify themselves. So don't confuse your individual identity and your family and your personal family linkage. I'm not talking about that. This is bigger than you and I. I'm talking about collectively as a people. Now, getting back to Israelites, that takes you back to the Bible. Anything in the Bible has no human history to it, none whatsoever. So don't confuse the Bible with human history, because it cannot be, the two cannot be put together or related. So where do you find Israelites? In the Bible. In order to have an Israelite or Black Hebrew Israelite, you have to have one Abraham. Okay? Now, the Jewish community are telling the world that there's never been an Abraham, such as if you get a book by an author by the name of S. David Sperling, who wrote a book 20 years ago called The Original Torah. He said in his book that there's never been an Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Sarah, Gideon, Esau, David, or Solomon, or Joshua. And Walter Williams come along and say every character in the Bible never walked the earth as human beings. So he is telling you that. He is a teacher at the Hebrew Union College in New York City. Now I can go on and further and with that, but I'm going to make my answer short, like you suggested I do, Zoe. So those are my two answers for those two questions.
I love it. I appreciate you sharing. Let's keep going. What is the difference between spirituality and religion?
Okay, the difference between spirituality and religion is this. I touched on it before, but let's bring it home. Human beings who come into this world by their mother and father having a sexual intercourse, the father releasing his sperm and your mother's egg receiving that sperm, thus causing 9 months of incubation in her body for the development of every human that's walking this earth. And like I mentioned before, you have 8 billion humans walking this earth of all races, creeds, and color. Now, that includes you and I. We are among those 8 billion humans. So now when we came on out of her body as a human being who was attached to an umbilical cord, that umbilical cord was cut. But after it was cut, life still remained in your body, as it's still remaining in your body at this very moment. So what that life is called is spirituality. Now, that spirituality is hooked up to your pineal gland. What is your pineal gland? Your pineal gland is a sensory organ that sits in the middle of your brain. The bottom of that pineal gland are your nostrils that you take air through your nostrils, through your pineal gland. And your pineal gland takes you back into your personal human universe. Every human walking this earth, I told you there's 8 billion humans walking this earth, they live in their own personal universe via their pineal gland. You see? So that is your spirit, your spirituality. It was given to you as a gift from your mother and father who created you. Now, the difference between that and religion was created by man. All religion, I don't care what it is, what name you want to call it, it's created by man to control your thinking and your action.
Come on.
That's the difference.
Now see, this is getting real clear for me. Correct me if I'm wrong, good doctor. What you're saying is nature, that which is natural, is spiritual. Because you're naming functions that occur naturally in nature. The reproductive process, how our brains work, how our central nervous system works, how our lungs and just how everything works in order. And you're telling me, by using examples of the body, that life itself is spiritual. But religion
Correct.
is more of an ideological cage that binds. And whoever is the author of that ideological cage is your master? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, as long as you believe in a religion. See, religion is something that all humans has to believe in. If you don't believe in any religion, the religion has no value to it. It's dead. Because you, the human being, believing in these religions, give that religion life from your life. So you make it real by belief. So all religions, including the Bible is the book that one has to believe in. If you don't believe in the stories in the Bible, then the Bible becomes worthless. There's a documentary out called In Search of God with Morgan Freeman.
Yes.
It's going all over the world searching for God. And he ended up in the illegal state of Israel at the home of a female rabbi. At her dinner table, she told Morgan Freeman that the Bible is not a history book, but a book of ideas. So if humans can understand that, just that statement, that the Bible is not a history book, but a book of ideas. And if you can understand what S. David Sperling has said in his book, The Original Torah, that there has never been an Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Sarah, Gideon, Esau, David, or Solomon, or Joshua. Those are biblical characters. Only way that they have life is that you believe that they existed.
So this is very riveting, because what I know, and I don't know much, believe you me, that's why I lean on the wisdom and the knowledge of this brother here, this elder here. What I know is your whole life is in disarray without knowledge of self. And if I'm listening to this brother and I'm picking up what I think I'm hearing, the cultivation and the development of your knowledge of self, who we are, where we come from, our roots, African spirituality, all of that, in context to what they believe, the myths they wrote, that's the rise of the Antichrist. That's the rise of the devil to them. Your knowledge of self is their devil. And what I need to understand about this is this. If we're imprisoned to their definition of God and their religion and all of this, if we're imprisoned to their belief system, where are the keys? Where do we get the keys to unlock the cell, Dr. Williams?
Well, you get your keys by starting in one place. You got to go back to ancient Egypt, not Kemet, but ancient Egypt. That's where you have to start. That is the world's first and oldest civilization that existed on planet Earth by way of man. So you have to start there first. And we are so lucky. I'm only talking about the 50 or more million of Africans in this country who are walking around without any land identity with the names that they call themselves. So you have to go back to ancient Egypt, where it all started from. And you come from that point all the way up to 2020. So you come up and start with ancient Egypt first. For instance, you got to understand that the Greeks, the Europeans, don't know or have a beginning history of themselves. to be truthful about their beginning history, they started when Alexander the Greek came into Egypt in 332 BCE. That was the very first beginning record of Europeans' beginning history. But when they got there, our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, had established civilization for over 9,668 years before the Greeks got there. You see? So, like Dr. John Henry Clark would always say, when the Greeks got to Egypt, civilization was over with. So you have to start there and come forward into the year 2020, where we are today. But then you have to know all that history along the way until you get to 2020. So you got your work cut out for you, but I would say start there first.
So, Dr. Williams, a lot of people would find umbrage in what you're saying with it all started in Egypt. You have a lot of people, black people included, who speak of the Sumerians. Now, you have an interesting take on the Sumerians because the way, and just listening to what you're saying and keeping it in context, you said that they created history and they created myths, right? But in their historical telling, they will say the Sumerians were the first to create language, the cuneiform language. They would say the Sumerians were the first to create civilization with the building of their ziggurats and so on and so forth. Why is it, do you think they say the Sumerians were first? Because it always gets kind of murky when they're talking about ancient Kemet and Sumerian, or ancient Kemet and Sumer as which one being the first. They tend to lean to Sumer being the first. Why do you say Kemet is the first over Sumer?
I said that ancient Egypt is first over Sumer. If you investigate and study the Sumerians, now, my wife and I are co-authoring a book. It's called Dispelling Myths of Ancient Egypt. And my wife, I gave her an assignment. My wife, Arnetta, I gave her an assignment to write on the myth of the Sumerian myth and the cuneiform myth, exposed. I wanted her to expose that myth by way of research. And she took 3 years of intensive investigative research to come up with her writings in her chapter that's coming out in our book, Dispelling Myths of Ancient Egypt. Now, here's what one has to do. When you study Sumerians, the so-called Sumerians, you got to understand this. The European wanted to dispel the ancient Egyptians' human achievements by replacing it with something that's based on mythology. And the something that's based on mythology is the Sumerian. Something that's based on mythology is the cuneiform script that they said was before the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. So when you do your study and research, all this will come up. Now, you have to study the writings of Georg Rodophin, Henry Rawlinson, Samuel Noah Kramer, Thurkill Jacobson, John A. Wilson, Henry Frankfurt, Joseph Halevi, Father Edward Hinks, Jules Oppert, and Gaston Niebuhr. And you have to study the writings of John L. Mackenzie, S.J. Now, John L. Mackenzie, for instance, he wrote a book called The Dictionary of the Bible. When you get into the chapter in this biblical or Bible dictionary on the Sumerians, he tells you this, that the Sumerians was the first occupants of Mesopotamia. Now, where is Mesopotamia? In the Bible.
Mm.
You can only find Mesopotamia in the Bible. So you're talking about a so-called characters, I'm gonna call them people, that never existed as human beings. So now, and they said in the Sumerian article in Johnny O. Mackenzie's writing, he said that they occupied Mesopotamia for over 3,000. They came in around 3,000 BC, and they occupied Mesopotamia for over 406 years. They left no trace of themselves. Now, you mean to tell me you're going to be somewhere that you're going to occupy a space, a land, or whatever the case might be, and you leave no trace of yourself, but one picture of yourself, they left a picture of themselves to identify themselves as being Europeans, you see? So, and then they attach themselves to the Akkadians of the Bible. They attach themselves to the Sumerians of the Bible. The Sumerians are not in the Bible per se, but with these names of Akkad and Shinar or Shinarians, they are in there in an indirect way. So one has to really go and study the things that I'm recommending that you study. And it's a long, complicated study. For instance, now when you study Henry Rawlinson is supposed to be a British engineer that went to Iran, okay? Now, Iran today, as I speak, is in Northeast Africa, even though they have changed that area over there and call it the Middle East. That's a political name. But we're talking about Northeast Africa. So they said that Henry Rawlinson, a British engineer, was in Iran, and he looked up on a mountain. He saw some strange signs up there. And to get closer to those signs, he rigged up a rope where he dangled himself in the midair, and he got rubbings from that mountain. The mountain that they mentioned is called the Behistun Mountain in Iran. And the rubbings that he got from that mountain supposedly is called the cuneiform. So when you read all these stories that's attached to the Sumerians and everything like that, you'll find out that the Sumerians is a creation of Western academia to try to parallel the true history of our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, trying to take away the realism in our ancient Egyptian ancestors' culture. That's what they're trying to do. So don't fall for it. You see? Now, I mentioned Joseph Halevi. Joseph Halevi was a scholar that was a member of the AIU. The AIU meaning that Alliance Israelite Universal of Paris, France. That's a Zionist organization that was created in 1860. And he was a member of that alliance. And he when you study the Sumerian cuneiform, you will find his name coming up in the study. And he said that, and he fought against the existence of a Sumerian up until 1917. You see? So you have to put all of these things together, and then you come to realize that the Sumerian and cuneiform are nothing but European made-up myths trying to knock our ancestors and take the credit away from our ancestors, that our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, brought civilization to this world by way of literacy and by way of mathematics and by way of everything that we use in today that we call civilization. So that's what I have to say to some of that, Brother Zo.
Wow. Ooh, Lord, it has been lost. Our narrative, history is their narrative. And that's, to me, that's the real slavery. Getting a people to forget their own narrative and accept the narrative of the oppressor. And listen, I would love for you to share some books by Black historians, by Black authors, by Black teachers, such as yourself, so our people can build a library that has their narrative in it, as opposed to always going back and referring to the narrative of the oppressor. The fact that they politicalized the Bible and made it a tool of propaganda. I read one book by an author by the name of, I think his name is Lawrence Gardner, and he was the official lineage keeper of the European, of the royal house, the royal family. He kept the books on the lineage. And he said in his book that history was a tool of war by way of propaganda. So I ask you, what are some books that our people can read, that we can reference, that's in alignment with our original story, the story that you're sharing with us tonight?
Okay, well, I want to talk about, before I get into that, I want to make a comment on history. You have human history and you have pseudepigrapher history. Human history is made by human beings by way of time, people, places, and events, documented by way of literature. You have man-made, created pseudepigrapher history created by the Europeans. So you have to know the difference between the two. And if you want to get the beginning of the human history, you have to go back to ancient Egypt. I don't use the word Kemet because it's misleading. It takes away the power.
How so?
How so?
Mm-hmm.
Because the world does not know our ancestors as being Kemites, or they do not know the land area over in the continent of Africa called Egypt. They do not know that as being Kemet. That's number one. Number two, with the word Kemet or the name Kemet, you cannot go to the world map of human geography and find Kemet land on there. Can't do it. Number three, you cannot find any artifacts that you can relate to or show the world came from Kemet. Number four, you cannot find any art or literature that came from Kemet. So that's what the African scholars use. That's misleading, okay? I don't use that. I use ancient Egypt. Our ancestors are known in history as the ancient Egyptian. So, and then another thing about that. When you use ancient Egypt, you have more power in that name, okay, than Kemet. Now, you have the continent of Africa being named Africa after the old Afrikaners, a European. They said that the name Kemet means the land of the blacks or the black land, okay? So now, why don't you use that name for Africa and take the name Africa away and put in its place Kemet for the continent of Africa, because that is the land of the blacks and the black land, okay? Now, to your second question or your first question, you asked me what books can I recommend written by authors of African heritage. I would recommend one book, and that book is called God Wills the Negro by Theodore P. Ford. It came out in 1939. Okay? He wrote this book in 1939, and in this book, he was showing you by way of photographs the American Negro and showing you pictures of the ancient Egyptians as being a lookalike and the same. Okay? Then he said in this book that the ancient Egyptians vanished and the Negro appeared. I'll repeat that again. He said, P. Ford said in his book, God Wills the Negro, that the ancient Egyptians vanished and the Negro appeared. Another thing, unless you want me to cut it there and
No,
go
keep
something
going,
else.
keep going, yes.
In March 11, 1990, in Chicago, Illinois, I opened up a museum called the Ancient Egyptian Museum and Institute. About 3 years later, I got a request from the Black Physicians Association of Cook County Hospital. They wanted me to make and give a lecture there during Black History Month of that year, like I said, 93 or 94, somewhere around there. But anyway, I agreed to do that, and they agreed to pay me a $500 honorary fee to do that, okay? So I went and I gave the lecture because I was born at the Cook County Hospital, and my daughter was born at the Cook County Hospital. So I was familiar with the Cook County Hospital, I was glad to do it. So anyway, at the end of the lecture, they congratulated me on the lecture, and they took me off into a room to pay me my honorarium. And while in the room, I said to them, I said, Doctor, why don't you use and call yourself the Imhotep Physicians Association of Cook County Hospital instead of the Black Physicians Association of Cook County Hospital? I said, this way you will be giving honor to your ancestors, our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians. So one of the doctors asked me, he said, how do you know that we are ancient Egyptian descendants? I said, okay, let me ask you some questions. He said, okay. I said, do you agree that during the time of antiquity, that a people known in history as the ancient Egyptians built the Great Pyramid? He says, yes. African people, he says, yes. I said, do you also agree during the time of antiquity that a people lived on earth by the name of the Greeks? He says, yes. I said, do you also agree that a people by the name of the Romans, who today are calling themselves Italians, walked this earth as human beings? He says, yes. I said, now let's go back. I said, today as I speak, the people who call themselves Greeks, their descendants are still walking this earth, identifying themselves and their ancestors as being Greeks. Is that true? He says, yeah. I said, the people who call themselves Romans back then are now calling themselves Italians today, and identifying themselves with Romans and being themselves being Italians today. Is that true? He says, yes. I said, let me ask you this question. Then where are the descendants of the ancient Egyptians? And he looked at me and his mouth fell open and he couldn't answer. I said, they're here. You, me. Every time we look in the mirror, that mirror is telling us that we are descendants of the greatest people that's ever walked this earth in human form, known to the world as the ancient Egyptians and not Kemet. See, so I can go on, but let me end it there.
What about folk who say we're indigenous to America? The so-called Native American is really us. What about people who say that? How do you respond?
Well, you can't say that because the indigenous Native American doesn't look like us. He's got straight hair. He's got lighter skin than we have. We are Africans. We are dark-skinned, brown-skinned, dark-skinned, light brown-skinned, light people of different hues. Our hair is different. So you can't say that the native Indian, as you see him today, is the same as the African. You can't say that. Your eyeballs will tell you that. And your common sense, after you see the difference, will tell you that. So that would be my answer, Brother Zo.
Ooh, Lord. If you thought this was going to be lightweight, you sadly mistaken. You know what I'd like to know? Because when I look at today, modern day civilization, you know, who we are as a people, I just see a lost people, right? And I see a people that mimic an oppressor, right? They mimic the lifestyle. They mimic the aspirations. They want to live where they live. They want to earn the way they earn. They want to drive what they drive. They want to wear the clothes that they make. If you could give a prescription, good doctor, what should we be doing to break up with all of these ideas we inherited from this sick society?
You have to use the discipline of history. And like I'm been saying on this program, you have to go back to ancient Egypt, where it all began. Start with your ancestors there and come forward to 2020, as we are and living today in this time era. So you have to start with ancient Egypt. Once you start with ancient Egypt and come forward, the question that you need to ask or be asked of yourself is, what happened to our African ancient Egyptian ancestors after the Greeks came into Egypt? There's a history that happened from the time of the Greeks coming into Egypt to our ancestors. But you have to start with ancient Egypt. You have to start with the knowledge and realize that we, 50 million, I'm not talking about individually, I'm talking about collectively, 50 or more million of us living in this country, who are living in this country that's been taught away from who our ancestors are. So we got to find our way back to ancient Egypt. That's the reason why I said don't use Kemet, because Kemet is misleading and it's diminishing the power of our ancient Egyptian ancestors. So you have to find your way back to ancient Egypt and start from that point and come forward. And then you can erase all this miseducation that you got from the school system, all this misinformation that you got from the white institutions throughout the world, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what I would say, and that's the answer I will give you.
So let me ask you this. What are your thoughts on the out of Africa theory, where they say around 150,000 years ago, there was a huge volcanic eruption. I think it was Toba, and so much ash covered the planet that it almost killed out Homo sapien. And from the surviving Homo sapiens, that's where modern man came from, out of Africa. And then they say out of Africa, they went and migrated, you know, to Europe, to Russia, to India, to the Aboriginal spaces down in Australia, the Pacific. What do you say about the out of Africa theory?
What I'm saying, and after hearing you speak about 150,000 years, you cannot sustain history for going back 150,000 years. You can only sustain history by going back to 10,000 BC or 10,000 years. And that started with our ancient Egyptian ancestors. who brought civilization for the very first time to humanity. That's where you start your count, but you cannot go back. There's nothing to sustain 150,000 years. If that's the case, I would ask you, what was the name of those people that you're talking about? What alphabet did they use to write with to sustain a history that goes back that far? There's nothing there. That's another mythology coming from the European. Now, here's what I have to say to people about where out of Africa, I'm hearing you saying, I think I'm hearing you saying that all races of people came from the people in Africa. That's not true. That's not true if you're saying that now. No, that's not true, and the reason why it's not true.
No, I'm asking you. Yes, I'm asking you for clarification. Tell us.
That's what I say. I'm gonna give you clarification. If that's what you're saying, and it's not true, because today as I speak, then why isn't the African mother over in Africa having a baby being delivered from her body at this very moment? Why isn't that baby a Chinese baby, or Indian baby of India, or European baby, or a Mexican baby, etc., etc.? So what I have to say to that, don't fall for that theory. And I'll go a little further. No human on earth know how they got here as a human being. You cannot tell me how Zoe Williams got here. I cannot tell you how Walter Williams got here. No human on earth of any race, creed, or color can tell you how they got here on earth as a human being. The only thing that I know, and you know, Zoe, is that a time in your life that you can consciously remember that you found yourself here on earth. And go back in your memory as to the time that you found yourself here consciously on earth, Brother Zoe.
It's powerful stuff. Do me a favor. A lot of people want to know about your books, your scholarship.
About what?
About your books and your scholarship, the work that
okay,
you've
well,
done.
Let's clear this up, then we'll go to that. That'll be the next thing we're going to.
Okay.
Can you consciously remember at what age that you found yourself Zoe Williams on earth as a human being?
Oh, sorry. I meant to
Williams,
my bad.
Found myself on earth at 4 years old.
My bad.
Consciously.
Let me answer. I think I became aware of myself around 3 years old.
Okay. So from 0 to 3, you have no conscious memory of Zoe Williams. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So now, you found yourself living where, Zoe, on planet Earth at 3 years old?
I was living with my foster parents. I remember that very vividly.
Where? Where?
In Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Okay, so you found yourself at 3 years old, consciously and physically in Chattanooga, Tennessee, right?
Yes, sir.
And you belong to a race of people. And what was the name of the race of people that you belonged to?
Black folk.
They were called black folks or Negroes or whatever the case might be, right? Okay, now you multiply your experience with the 8 billion humans walking this earth of all races, creeds, and color. The Chinese cannot tell you how he got into China as a Chinese. He can't tell you that. He found himself there like you found yourself in Tennessee, in America, belonging to a certain race of people. The Indians of India cannot tell you how they got into India as an Indian. They found themselves there. The Africans cannot tell you how he got into Africa as an African. He found himself there. The Europeans cannot tell you how he got into Europe as a European. He found himself there. You see? No human can tell you how they got here as a human being, coming from their mother's body after being created by their mother and father having a sex relationship to get you here and each human here. Okay? You cannot tell me during the time 9 months of incubation when your eyeballs popped in, what month? You can't tell me when your toes came and your legs and your feet and your arms and your fingers came into being. You see, you can't tell me that. So that's what I have to say to that. Don't let nobody tell you about all races come from one race, and don't ever let nobody take you back 150,000 years. There's nothing to document that with. That's mythology.
So let me ask you, what about carbon dating and DNA? And these are some of the tools that they say they use nowadays, you know, carbon dating, DNA. Are you saying these are just tools to manipulate and create new history or support old history that they use to mislead us? Is that what you're saying?
On the carbon dating, the University of Chicago created carbon dating 14. Yes, they use that carbon dating to mislead you on one hand and try to use that carbon dating technique to try to prove their point in misleading you. So they don't use that dating system anymore. That's obsolete now. They don't use carbon dating anymore because carbon dating is done by the individual who wants to put this liquefied carbon dating liquid on whatever artifacts or items that they want to find a date for. For instance, they use carbon dating on an animal. The date of the animal was 40,000 years old. The animal was 40,000 years old according to the carbon dating that they used. But the food inside of the body of this animal was only 6,000 years old. See, so you can't use carbon dating anymore. Okay?
So you're saying it's not reliable. No, I was just saying, you're saying carbon dating is not reliable.
Correct. That's the reason why they discarded it. They don't use that no more.
This is good. Hey, I'm hitting him with the questions, and he's hitting them right back. This is why I love this brother. I'm so appreciative that you were able to come on here and share this information with us. Again, can I get you to share maybe 3 or 4 books that you think are great starter books, introductory books into your work? What books would those be?
Well, are you talking about for African authors or just authors in general?
Well, no, I'm talking about your books. Books you've written.
The books that I wrote?
Yes.
Now, what was that question?
For a person who has just come into the knowledge of you, what are some good starter books that they can read? Introductory books into your work that they can read. Could you give us at least 2 or 3 titles?
Well, there's a History of Egypt by James Henry Breasted is a very good book that will give you a lot of insight into Egypt and et cetera, et cetera. There's another book you can get, Kingship and the Gods by Henry Frankfurt. You can get a book by George Rawlinson called A History of Ancient Egypt. So those are some of the books that I recommend that you can, look into and get started. But the thing about it, you got to start your research with ancient Egypt first. Okay? So I would say get a feel for ancient Egypt. Make sure you realize that your ancestors and you are connected as one and the same as being ancient Egypt and ancient Egyptian, and you are a descendant of the ancient Egyptians. So I would actually, in order for an individual not to be confused, he should have guidance from a teacher like me, guiding them step by step until he's able to see the path that he needs to go down. You see, was to give an individual, a neophyte, some books, drop it in his lap, and say, okay, study these books and you get wisdom. Well, that is only adding confusion on top of confusion because the person don't know where to start. See? So that is really a complicated question to answer. But the bottom line to that question is that even though I named these books, in the back of my book, The Historical Origin of Christianity that I wrote, that's been out for 27 years, I have 26 books of bibliography back there in the bibliography section of my book, The Historical Origin of Christianity. So that will give you some of the books that I studied out of, you see. But human history, I found by studying, I've been out here for 45 years now, going on 46 years with the coming year 2021. I found that you cannot get everything from one book. I find that human history is a puzzle, okay? And I am still studying every day that I wake up. I'm still putting pieces of the puzzle together. So human history is a puzzle. So that's just like me giving you a puzzle all in one, all broken together, broken apart, and it's all piled up now. Takes this puzzle and you dump it in your lap and say, now you figure it out. You see? So you need guidance for that. And that's the reason why my ancient Egyptian museum that I created in 1990, I had an institute where I taught students and taught men and women to be scholars, etc. But I had to tutor them, okay, along a certain route so they can get a clear picture, and then they were on their own.
So what happened? What happened to your museum? Is it still open or is it closed? What happened? Where can people see some of the stuff you've accumulated for the museum?
Well, the museum was opened up March 11, 1990. I bought a mansion in Chicago, and I remodeled that mansion and put the museum in there. I put different artifacts that I had collected around the world, and different paintings and so forth. Everything was in there, was just depicting and coming from the culture of our ancestors, ancient Egyptians. That lasted for 11 years. I financed everything out of my pocket, okay? I bought the building, paid for the building within 5 years. I paid, the gas bills, the light bills, the taxes, everything. The upkeep of the building, the heating of the building, everything all came out of my pocket. And even though I did charge a fee for the students that came in to learn at my institution. So I did, start that institution in March 11, 1990, and it closed after being up for 11 years, January 1st, 2001. That's when it closed.
Wow. He's lived a lot. He's learned a lot. And I appreciate him for being here. He's a treasure to our community. How do people gain your mentorship? How do they connect with you in order for them to gain your guidance so that they can get on the path of studying about their true knowledge of self?
Well, they can email me at ancientegyptian at msn.com. Ancient, ANCIENT, Egyptian, EGYPTIAN at msn.com. Now, when you email me, if you want to converse with me by phone, put your phone number there and I'll call you back. And we can talk and converse, and you can ask me questions and et cetera, and we can, I can start you off that way. So if you email me, put your phone number there if you want to converse with me further, and I'll call you back. That's how you can contact me, and we can go from that point on.
And I can attest to it. He will call you back. If he don't pick up the phone right there, he will call you back. Let me just say once again, brother, I thank you for coming on. I thank your beautiful wife for assisting us and making sure that this thing happened. I thank the good brother. What's the good brother who hooked us up? What's the brother's name? I forgot the brother's name just that quick. He connected us. Michael. Yes, brother Michael, thank you for connecting us. This has been a long time coming. I am greatly appreciative to be able to just sit and listen and soak up the different perspective that you have laid down. This is a unique perspective. I have never heard of it, and I just appreciate it. Huh? Oh, yes.
Yes. Don't forget your sister in there. The sister was a sister in there, a sister too. Now, don't leave her out.
I ain't going to leave her out. Sarah helped us do this thing. She walked us through this whole process to get it done.
That's correct.
We were here
That's
for
right.
an hour.
Right, don't leave her out. That's a sister.
I can't leave her out.
Don't leave me out. And you want to put Hotep in that.
That's right.
And leave me out. No, I won't let you do that, though.
You're right, brother. You're right. We can't leave her out.
I said may out Hotep when I sign off, because I'm recognizing the female. Most of the brothers say Hotep. See, that's male, which means peace. I said Me'at Hotep, which means recognizing the female as love.
There we go.
Love and peace. Me'at Hotep, see?
Me'at Hotep. Thank you, brother. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Now, did you want to, you wanted my, how people can make a contribution or something like that?
Yes. I totally forgot.
Are you ready to close out?
No, not yet. Hold on. Let's give them that information right there. How do they make a donation to you? How do they support you, good brother?
Okay, they can support me by mightycause.com. mightycause.com. Walter Williams, Chicago, Illinois. Walter Williams, Chicago, Illinois. That's how they can do it.
mightycause.com.
Walter Williams, Chicago, Illinois. That's the rest of it.
There we go. Good brother, once again, thank you so much. We're about to wrap it up right now. I appreciate you for coming on, and I would love to have you come back.
Well, I would love to come back, Brother Zo. Anytime you want me to come back, just invite me.
You already know.
I want to leave the listening audience with my two books that is out in the world today. My two books are The Historical Origin of Christianity. The thesis of that book is saying that there's never been a man that ever walked the earth in human form of any race, creed, or color by the name of Jesus Christ never walked this earth. That book has been out for 27 years, selling all over America, all over the world, all in the Caribbean, all in the UK, Australia, all in the English-speaking countries. My second book has been out for 17 years. It's called The Historical Origin of Islam. The thesis of that book is saying that there's never been a man that ever walked the earth, a human born by the name of a prophet Muhammad, never existed on earth. And that's set in the same places as the historical origin of Christianity. So those are my two books, and they've been out for a number of years.
Well, thank you so much.
It's making a difference in people's lives.
Thank you so much. And I'm seeing in my chat room, a lot of people have got that book, have read that book. But if you haven't, please, please, please search those two books out. Amazing works of art. Thank you so much. Works of knowledge, works of history. Thank you so much. And again, I'll be calling you soon, good brother. We appreciate you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Zoe, for having me.
You're more than welcome, brother. I'll be calling you soon. So, let's just make this clear. That man has dedicated his life to working, studying, researching. That man ain't no lightweight. 89 years old, still sharp as a lightsaber. You know, sometimes just because you disagree with somebody, that does not give you license to disrespect them. That man belongs to us and is worthy of our respect, of our admiration, of our appreciation. You ain't got to agree with everything he says, but I guarantee you, if you challenged him on a research binge, he gonna beat you. That's, to me, when you talking to somebody like that, battle him on research. You're gonna lose. I dare you. You see, you get to have an opinion. Oh, you wrong, brother. You don't know what you're talking about. Battle him on research. You see, every time I asked him about books, about a specific topic, his memory, he rattled off 8 books by 8 different authors. Read this book, this book, this book. A. Britt, one of the chat room mods. Brother, please create a book list from this show. He gave up at least 15, 20. Come on. Listen, man. Like, it's easy to be a critic with just an opinion. The real thing is, how do you take what he said and remain objective and go do some research if you believe so strongly in what you believe? Like, if you really down for your belief, maybe it's Christianity, maybe it's, you know, maybe it's Islam, maybe it's Judaism, whatever he said, go do some research. And if you happen to disprove him, email him. He gave you the email. He will call you back. You understand? But it ain't even about arguing. What it's about, listen, man, if I had the opportunity to talk to my big mama again with my mindset now, I remember my mindset when she was here. It wasn't quite right. I didn't put her in her proper place. I didn't know how to. I was still trying to figure out who I was. If I had an opportunity to talk to Big Mama right now, it would be a totally different kind of conversation because I know where to put her. Do you understand? How many of you have been able to say, let me put what I think to the side and really give you an opportunity to share what it is that you know to an elder in your family, right? Most times when you talking to an elder in your family, you're not going to get a straight answer, but you will get a long ass story or a series of stories. That means you got to learn how to listen different. We in this microwave society, we want A, B, C, D, E, F, G right out. That ain't how it works. Sometimes you got to learn to listen different. You understand? Now, that brother is not just a dude with an opinion. I think y'all need to understand that. He's not just a dude with an opinion. This is a guy who has been studying and researching for years, and he's 89 years old, and he's still studying. How many of you have stopped studying? How many of you, okay, let me be fair. How many of you have taken time off from studying? This man is 89 years old, still studying, still working. What he did say to me that resonated to me was everything the white man has written and endorsed is a lie. That's what he said. That's what I took away from this. And if your aspirations come from a liar, an abuser, an oppressor, how in the hell are you going to find out the true meaning of yourself? That's why I brought him on. He told you historically, white people have been hiding the history, the real story, the real truth. He told you that. And here we are today with a rapper's girlfriend using her platform to tell girls, if he don't buy you a Birkin bag, send him back to the streets. The level of insanity is so mind-blowing. The level of insanity that we live in today is so mind-blowing. Got to convince black people to come together. Got to convince black people that unity is our nuclear weapon. Got to convince black people to stop killing each other. Got to convince black people that we are our only solution. Got to convince black people that you got to convince black people of everything that is cohesive. And then, while you're trying to convince them, you bring on a scholar, and I would say 99.99999999999999999% of the motherfuckers listening are not a scholar of equal level to him, equal merit to him with an opinion. They got it, he wrong. What is your scholarship rooted in? We got a 90-year-old on here. When was this man born, in the 30s, in the 20s or something? Come on, man. Hey, you know you got to hit the like button. Would you please? The share button, maybe? Would you mind supporting some of these black-owned businesses? Oh, God. It's really horrific. And then every 4 years, we getting pimped. This is the most important vote. If you don't vote this time, it's never going to go back to the same. It's always been bad for you because you've been socialized and conditioned to believe that you are not your own answer. It's always going to be bad for you when You can't trust your own people because you've been conditioned to compete and compromise and sabotage your own group. It's always going to be bad. It doesn't matter who's in office, black, white, ADOS, FBA. It doesn't matter if we come together with another man's mindset. Oh, I don't know if you heard that. You know we're not really together if we got another man's mindset, and let alone another man's mindset, we have the oppressor's mindset. And we're using his mindset to evaluate and judge each other. Your shit ain't together. According to who? Massa. What was the massa's name on Django at Candyland? Who's Leonardo DiCaprio's character on Django? That's our massa. What was his name? Does anybody know? Somebody in the chat room know. What was his name? Huh? Does anybody know the massa? Shit, we're a nation of Stevens. Calvin. Calvin what? Calvin what? Calvin Candy. Oh, yeah. This Candyland, nigga. Calvin. Big Daddy, this Candyland. You won't up in it, nigga, Django. I hope they kill your ass, Django. Oh, shit. Speaking of Django, let me just do this real quick, man. Let me just do this really quickly. Shout out to Jamie Foxx. He just lost his little sister, Dee Dee, Deandra. She was a sweetheart, ball of light. Just, you know, she had Down syndrome, but that didn't stop her. You know, she had a wonderful life. Jamie just, adored her and loved her and supported her in everything that she did. And I just want to say, peace to Jamie's and his family's heart, man. She was a sweetheart. I had the opportunity to meet her several times on, during the Foxhole and, an event or two at Jamie's house or whatever. She was a sweetheart, man. And, let me just say, man, you ain't got to like motherfuckers, or you ain't got to be their best friend, or you ain't got to be cool with them, or none of that shit to, feel for a person who has suffered a great loss. And that brother suffered a great loss in the loss of his little sister. She was only 36 years old. So much love to Jamie Foxx and his family during this most difficult time. Let me just say this again. All the black-owned businesses that we presented in the beginning, let's get behind them and let's make our words matter. Sarah, do you have? Are you just coming from work, or do you have to go to work? I gotta go to work. She got to go to work. So look, I don't want to hold her up too much longer. Listen, show Sarah some love because she spent an entire hour on the phone with this man's wife. They were struggling. He told me off top, I'm old, Zo. I don't play this technology game. I'm going to pass it on to my wife. And they was on the phone for an hour. Sarah's Cashapp is $ Sundays with Sarah. Please, please, please support her. Also, everybody drop $5 on my Cashapp to show your appreciation and support for today's show, for this channel. $ ZoWhatNeter. I appreciate everybody who's already done it. If you love this show, do that for us. We appreciate it. And I'm out so Sarah could get to work. Deuces.